All right, so the Fresno State basketball season ended this year in Vegas with a 67-63 loss to Colorado State. Very predictable, and it was a loss that was very similar to most of the losses they've had this year. I mean, they led for 25 minutes, but you had Gasper Kochevo. He went crazy, 7-7, 14 points in the first half, led as many as 8 in the second half. But you knew that Kochev probably wasn't going to get all game long, and he didn't. Jace Butler from Colorado State had 17 second half points, five 3-pointers to really just kind of wear the Bulldogs down. 3 different players logged in 39 minutes at least. 6 Bulldogs were out of injuries, so guys like Foss and Highbrainer, they really gave it all they had, and what should be the last game. Although who knows with the NCAA's the way these eligibility things work now. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, Highbrainer finished with 26 points, 8 of 15, 4 9 attempts, 3 from the free. He played all 40 minutes. Gorey went 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 of 14 in a clip. We shot 46% from the field compared to Colorado State's 39. But the Rams committed 4 less turnovers and out-rebounded the Bulldogs 35-31 to a 13-5 advantage on the offensive rebounds. They outscored us 14-5 in possessions after turnovers and 10-7 in second chance points. You got off hot. Highbrader did. I mean, the Bulldogs led as many as 7 early on. We led at 32-27 at the halftime. Into the half. In the second half, we got as high as 8 points, but then the Rams went on a run, and I texted somebody and said, yep, that's game. When they went on a 7-0 run, we were up 45-49. When they got up, what was it? I think it was like 48-47, something like that. And you knew it was going to be it. They weren't going to win. And just as well, they weren't going to beat San Diego State as we saw this past weekend. And also, I want to send a congratulations to Utah State. You guys won the Mountain West and regular season title. So that is yet another victory for a team leaving for the Pac. Boise won a football title. Colorado State won a women's title. Now it's up to somebody from the Pac to win softball and baseball, though baseball is the main sport. That's going to be tougher because only Fresno, San Diego State are playing part of that, but that's just a different topic. So the Bulldogs finished 13-19 the second year, improving on 6-26 last year, although you had to have done better after the performance last year. And now the focus is on the offseason. Wahlberg probably will come back in the third year of the program. Transfer portal opens April 7th officially, and it lasts till the 21st, so you have 15 days. So right now, Wahlberg and the coaching staff have to decide who do you want to keep, how are you going to keep them, and so on. Can you afford to keep them? They wanted to keep Elijah Price last year. He went to Nevada, so obviously they couldn't. I do think that they'll keep Gorey just based on 2 things. One, the Bulldogs did not go deep enough for someone to necessarily, I think, want him. I mean, he is going to be the largest NIL earner, no doubt about that. But he's got a high school teammate, Anthony Granger, who's from the same high school in Arizona and Phoenix as him. So he's, I believe he's 6'8", small forward. At least that's what I think his height is. That's last I saw. So you have to think that if he's committing as a friend of Gorey, that Gorey is planning on sticking around. So that is something positive. They also have another commitment from Casadate, California, Southern Academy, Joshua Quesebida. He's 6'7" athlete. From what I've seen, he'll probably be in a similar position now forward unless he bulks up. So those are 2 commits we have right now as of it to try and replace Foss and Heimbreeder. I also think that they'll let Collins go. I'd much rather have Zayon Collins come back and not have him come back and try and keep a freshman like Wilson Jack. I just don't. I really don't think Collins would have made that much of a difference. You can disagree with me if you want. if you think you would have made some sort of difference, I don't think you beat San Diego State with him. I don't think you beat New Mexico with him. Maybe you do. Maybe you beat New Mexico at home, but in Vegas, probably not. Don't beat Utah State in Vegas. I think the Bulldogs ended up just where they would have, given where they were. Maybe if Douglas and Stickman stayed healthy the whole year, things would have been different. Maybe if the international recruit they got, Nathan Zulumi, who was a projected starter, was healthy, what ifs. Maybe if Urbana, Porto, and Jenkins had done more. But the fact is that we ended up where we should have ended up. All right. And, you got work to do already. I mentioned the recruits that are coming in, who we're going to try and keep, But all in all, I'm not really convinced that Wahlberg is really the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Classy wasn't focused on other things, like, say, the move to the pack, I think that they would consider moving into a different direction. Or if I was Classy, I would talk to Wahlberg and say, listen, Vance, you've complained a lot about this and that, about NIL, about all this and that. You really sound like somebody who is incapable of accepting the current reality of the college landscape. Not the only one, mind you, but if you want to move to, say, an ambassador role for the program instead of being the coach, we can go around the community, try and pump us up, try and bring money and resources into it, and convince people to do so who might not otherwise do so. Or even a GM role where you could be a money guy. You supposedly have financial connections. You can look at tape across the country and say this got to be a huge program as opposed to this guy. I definitely think that is a conversation that could be had. I don't know if that's someone Wahlberg would want to do, per se. I mean, he already is kind of acting like a GM right now, trying to decide who you want to bring back and how you're going to fund them, right? I mean, we know we want to keep Gorey. We know we'll probably keep Wilson Jacks. Stickman, because he got hurt, probably got back too. What about Douglas? What about Rebar? I mean, I've seen people say like, oh, we want to bring back Zayon, Gorey, Jacques, Douglas, Stick, Rebar back. And those are not decisions that before COVID you even thought about, really. You knew who you were probably going to have coming back. I mean, basketball, you saw players leave every, transferring in and out, so forth. But those are GM-like decisions that take away from the coaching. And that's what Vance really wants to do. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have to try and bring people in beyond the recruits I just mentioned. And, you're going to have to watch tape because you're probably not going to be in for conference. And you have to, in addition to that, you're going to have to, bring in money to compete in this new Pac-12. You've got Gonzaga, who's like a free seed. You got Utah State. We'll see what San Diego State, not New Mexico. Potentially St. Mary's could come into the future, or some of it, or Santa Clara. So you're going to be competing with those teams for resources. You can't afford to do what you've done in the Mountain West of the Pac. You can't be dead weight. All right? The point of this move out of the Mountain West was to drop the dead weight. We've done that for football, but right now in basketball, I mean, it's us, Texas State, Oregon State of Wazoo, like the bottom half of the pack. And the basketball is going to be very important for the pack, showing just how viable of a conference this is. All right, that's what this whole thing. It's a tryout period. It's to show that the pack is viable, that the people want that, and part of that is having a compelling basketball league. And Fresno State right now just isn't that. And I'm not sure if Wahlberg is that guy who can, at the coaching level, do it. And I'm seeing people say, like, 20 years ago would have been no-brainer. I mean, his record at Pepperdine, I mean, there's a reason why nobody wanted to have him after, to Fresno State. I mean, he practically badgered him into giving him the job, so they said fine. But, there has been an improvement for sure. But will there be good enough next year to want to do more? Or should Vance start translating out of that into letting, someone else take the reins, or he works at that GM ambassador role? I mean, it's a question that I think we'll have to deal with sooner rather than later. I mean, what are you looking for in the pack next year? It's going to be tougher. If you have a repeat record next year, 13 or 19 or somewhere around there, Do you keep Wahlberg? Probably not. Probably not. And I didn't, like, if you disagree with me, comment down below if you felt this was enough. But, I mean, it is disappointing to see this is where Fresno State basketball is. Doesn't have to be. About a decade ago, they won the only Mountain West title with Deshaun Watson, Tyler Johnson, and so forth. Marvin Harris. And, I mean, that is my high point as a Fresno State basketball fan outside of a couple NIL appearances. I am too young to remember Tuck Caney. I'm far too young to remember Boyd Grant. We don't really have that tradition of, say, for football, baseball, some of these other sports, but it doesn't have to be like this. And it's incredibly frustrating to watch year after year this kind of end. And, I understand that Vance, you can love the job and still not be good enough. But we'll have more time to talk about this as it goes on. When changes made to the roster, I'll talk about it accordingly. But for now, it's just one less sport that's in the Mountain West. We are practically done in the league. We just have some track and outfield sports. Water polo is not in the Mountain West. Bandball sports are all that's left, and we'll see how they do. I'd love to leave a repeat for baseball, but with how young this team is, that's probably not going to happen in the regular season title. We'll see how they do against Nevada. And then, I'll talk about that as the year goes on, but Fresno State also had its pro day. I'll talk about that in a video coming up, but go over some numbers. Hopefully we get some guys drafted. And the spring football starts next week, I believe. So a lot of things to wrap up and get ready for. For now, as always, it's Go Dogs. See you next time.